And we're back after that delay. Sorry about that. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. AEW. AEW has submitted all the necessary paperwork. We were talking about when the stream was so rudely interrupted, we were talking about AEW and how they submitted the proper paperwork in order to be approved to submit and transmit across television airwaves, across the internet, across everything. If you guys realized how much paperwork went into what is actually shown, regardless of who's paying for it. And the absolute reason that NWA lost that CW deal the way they lost it was probably because the cocaine spot was not listed. And if the cocaine spot had been listed, somebody in standards and practices would have told them to just go ahead and nix that and they could keep going. I think that was an unplanned segment. And from the fallout of it, it appears that it was an unplanned segment. And CW, they responded appropriately. They were like, NWA, we were going to give you this really fantastic deal, but because you did some stupid shit, we're going to put you on the app for a little while. That's kind of like a timeout thing. It really is. It's kind of like a timeout thing. Regardless of that, and I'm sitting here having an argument with another WWE drone that I could really care less about what they've got to say. They're like, no, man, that's the reason they were going to take WWE off television was because, no, they were not. That is absolutely not even remotely close to the problem. The problem WWE had in their programming was they couldn't control the fans. Now, they had control over their segments, but they didn't have control over all of their segments, and some tits fell out by accident. And that happened quite regularly. And WWE or USA sent them a letter saying, you know what, guys? A lot of the stuff you do is kind of over the top, but this right here we can't have. You can't say fuck on television, especially before 10 o'clock. On nationally broadcast television, you cannot drop an F bomb until after 10 o'clock. And even then, it's got to serve a purpose. You can say damn, you can say ass, but you can't say shit, you can't say fuck, you can't say motherfucker, you can't do any of that stuff until after 10 o'clock. Unless it's on an actual paid subscription network like HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, you name it, they're out there, blah, 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 blah. Those are the ones that you can actually do whatever you want to do. And guess what else you can do exactly whatever you want to do? Pay per view. And yeah, there were kids in the audience. There were kids in the audience when Stone Cold went up on a cross. There were kids in the audience when the Big Boss Man got hung. There were kids in the audience when Mick Foley thought about a head swan dive off the top of Hell in a Cell. There were kids in the audience when Finn Balor got his head split clean open by a ladder, and they had to sit there and watch people sew him the hell up in the ring because you know what? WWE's not stopping that shit. Owen Hart bounced 10 feet off of the damn mat and they didn't stop the show. They just moved the cameras. The show went on. Somebody actually died, like physically died, dead, not coming back, gone, in the fucking ground, died during a WWE televised pay-per-view. Did we stop it? No. We kept the show going. And it took people a couple of years to actually backlash on WWE for not giving Owen his props. Took them 2 years to come around. Somebody physically died in the ring from a stunt that WWE set up. Did nobody go, well, you know what, I better turn this pay-per-view off and just not watch it anymore? No, it went on. Do you think anybody got up out of the stands and went, you know what, this dude died? Shit, that just ruined the whole experience for me. And it did. In all due respect, it did ruin the experience for a lot of people. But did you see a mass exodus from the building? Did WWE cut production? No. They went on with the show. And somebody physically died. Jerry Lawler had a massive heart attack on air. Now, while Michael Cole was visibly shook, he still continued to commentate the best he could, and the show fucking went on. Nobody had a problem with that. Everybody just sent out well wishes for Jerry Lawler. Not one single WWE fucking drone had a problem with it. And the dude literally almost died on live television. I don't understand what panty waist people we have anymore. And I have no problems expressing that. There's a lot of entertainment out there, guys, I don't like. I don't like Rob Zombie. I don't like him at all. And you know what? I don't listen to him. And I don't get on the internet bitching and moaning and bitching and moaning. Oh, they should, the label that has Rob Zombie, they should be sanctioned. He talks about things I don't like. And some of them are pretty bad fucking things. I'm not a big fan of Marilyn Manson, also an entertainer. I hear that joker's making a comeback. There's a lot of entertainment that I personally am not a fan of. But you know what I am? I'm a grown fucking responsible adult, and I just changed the channel and let it go. I am a grown fucking responsible adult. If I don't like something, I don't watch it. And here's another thing I don't do. I don't waste valuable time that could be spent with family, friends, doing some kind of profitable venture, going on a hike, going fishing, calling up one of my relatives just to let them know I was thinking about them. I don't let any of that get interfered with because I don't like something. This is real talk here. This is one of those buckle up buttercups because I am not going to be easy on any of you today. And from the same standpoint, shut the fuck up is not the proper response. It really isn't. I don't agree with something, I don't watch it. Here's another thing I don't do. I don't tell other people not to watch it. Because I am not in control, nor am I responsible for your thought processes, their thought processes, the guy across the street's thought processes, the guy who loaded the cameras processes, the guy who broadcasted. I am not responsible for their thought processes. I'm only responsible for mine. And here's a clue. That's what the rest of you are responsible for too. The internet does not need, and most times does not want, your pansy ass opinion on every single thing that moves. Nor do they need it. Because you know what? There was somebody sitting there at that thing for the first time and actually enjoyed wrestling. There was somebody sitting there watching that pay-per-view who actually got exposed to something different and said, wow, I like this. And that was even with somebody sitting there going, okay, this is where it's going to go off the rails. So if you're squeamish, don't look. Because that's what happened in my house. That is exactly word for word verbatim as to what happened in my house. My son come by, he's like, I want to visit for the weekend. I'm like, sure. I'm watching the All Out pay-per-view. He's like, cool, I'll watch it with you. And he got in right in the beginning of the matches, and as the matches would develop, I would just simply sit there and say, okay, here's some of the stuff that's going to happen. I just want to, I want, because I don't know where his comfort zone is. But I wanted to inform him so he could make his own decision. He's 23 years old, also a grown fucking individual, capable of making their own decisions. And I'm sitting there like, okay, son, and especially when the Daniel Bryan match was, or Bryan Danielson, I don't know why, for some odd reason, I'm wanting to call him Daniel Bryan all week. I'm sorry, sir. Forgive me. But when the Bryan Danielson segment was getting close to over and everybody was starting to fill in the ring, something didn't feel right. Now, I didn't know what was going to happen after that. But after that match was over with, especially with that Jack Perry spot, where they literally run into each other and went sideways, that is just something that defied physics. So I'm like, I see this thing building together in the ring, and I'm like, all right, son. And it's exactly what I said. I said, all right, son, something's about to happen, and it's probably going to be fucked up. Prepare yourself. Now, I didn't know what it was, but you could just tell by the body language in the ring that something was getting ready to happen. So, as once again a responsible adult who doesn't make decisions for other people, I just simply informed him. I said, look, son, something bad is about to happen here. Something weird is going to happen. It's probably going to be fucked up. Those are the exact words I said. He's like, no, I'm okay with it. And sure enough, here comes the bag over the head. And he just sat there for a minute and just watched it. Watched the story develop. He's never seen a full AEW show. And he automatically knew the storyline. He's like, oh, they're kicking him out of the group hard. I'm like, yeah. And I got to say, it was a little bit uncomfortable for me for about 2 seconds. And then I was like, okay, I can see him breathing. I'm fine. First aid training in college came in handy for something. I could see him breathing. And by the way, shout out to the 13 viewers. I appreciate all of y'all. While we go ahead and keep this stream going, of course, I've started off and for some reason got nuked like 5 minutes into it. So you guys are actually catching the second stream that I've dropped out here, and thank you for showing up. But getting back to the story, I told him before the pay-per-view started, because I have trusted sources that will not let me walk into something blind. And I listen to them, and I pay attention to what they say. And they're like, man, if this is a lights out, there's no telling where they're going to go. And then I went back and I rewatched a couple of matches, and I saw the blood drinking and I saw all that. So I was properly prepared to go into this match with like, okay, if they're going to top this, this is what I think they're going to do. My mind already had a preconceived notion. If they're going to top what I just saw, it's probably going to look like this. And you want to know what? When they got to the spots in the match, it looked about exactly like I thought it was going to look. Because once again, I don't get my news from dirt sheets. I don't get anything from third-party groups. And even people that I trust, I verify. That's right, boys and girls. Anything I trust, I still verify. So I didn't have any preconceived notions going into it, but I did have an idea of what I could expect because somebody I did trust said, man, this is going to be crazier than, and he named the match. I went and watched the match, and I was like, wow, if it's going to be crazier than that, I need to prepare myself for it. Then we got to the end of the pay-per-view, and he looked me square in the face and said, "Dad, I love this." I said, "Are you sure nothing went wrong? You're not..." Because, some things that don't disturb me because of some of the previous jobs I've worked in my lifetime will disturb other people. Now, I will admit that I'm completely desensitized to violence these days. I've been that way for years. I worked in jobs that were extremely violent, so I'm desensitized to them. Now, certain types of violence still get to me, but it's reminders of previous jobs that I've worked, flashbacks, things like that. Some bullshit that's going to happen in a wrestling ring, for real. And just to recap, since a lot of other people were here, I was kind of pointing out, I wasn't kind of pointing out, I was damn straight up saying it. WWE had Owen Hart falling from the ceiling, bouncing 10 feet off the ring mat. Did they stop the show? No. They cleaned up the mess and kept the show going. And it took people 2 to 3 years to have a real problem with that. Now, you're going to have your fringe idiots that want to be seen and they want to be heard and they want to be recognized. And life just doesn't work unless somebody's acknowledging them. Now, they went buck wild about it. But as even not quite a fully grown, mature fucking adult then, I understood that this type of business has a certain amount of risk. And that this type of business has a certain amount of shock and awe. And when the risk and the shock and the awe come together at one time, you know what? Somebody could get killed. But you want to know what else happened? Alec Baldwin either accidentally or intentionally shot somebody and killed them. Did we fold up movie props for that? No. The Crow got killed on set with a dummy gun. Have we folded that up? No. It's an essential piece to make the movie. And sometimes these spots that make you uncomfortable, that get you out of your comfort zone, sometimes they're just not being done for the shock and awe factor. Sometimes they're actually being done because it's necessary to forward the story or end the story. Do I personally think that storyline's over with? No. They got to have a rubber match. And it could be, I'm going to let you know, before they even get in the ring ever again in the month or 2 or the 3 months that they're going to be out, it's probably going to be violent. So if you have PTSD towards that sort of thing, don't watch it. Don't buy it. Don't look at it. I don't watch certain horror movies because I know they'll trigger me. I don't sit here on the internet all fucking day and going, "Oh, this entire series, they should cancel this. Nobody needs to see this. What happens if a child saw it?" Have you seen the fucking video games that are out lately? What happens if a child sees it? Chances are the child knows more about it than you do. Over the lunch table, at school, they talk about this crap. They text each other on phones. "Hey, did you see this Easter egg?" Chances are the kids that were there knew more about the violence than the adults did. That's all video games are these days. Violence. We're not shutting video game companies down. I mean, the federal government tried to do it for about 10 seconds. Yeah, I was alive for that too. That's what being an old man. I'm old and smart because I was young and stupid. And that's the end of that part of it. I don't understand for the life of me how you can get that pissed off about a segment of violence you were pre-warned about. It was predetermined. This is wrestling is a predetermined sport. 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 And it's not just predetermined by the booker, it's predetermined by the participants. That means that Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page got together in a room at some point in time, or their representatives did if they have this kind of real life heat that I don't think they have. They all got together in a room and said, okay, this is what I want to do. What do you think about this? Wow, that sounds pretty cool. What do you think about this? That's how these matches are put together. An edict is not handed down from heaven above saying, MJF, Daniel Garcia, you will compete against each other. MJF, you will win and still get the living shit beat out of you in an injury angle that will leave it. And you will do this. No. There's not a law, rule, or edict that declares how the match is going to go until the performers themselves have signed off on it. So that means everybody in the building knew what was going to happen. And here's the clue. At least 30 people were cool with it. They're like, yeah, that's going to go over pretty well. Oh, we're going to catch shit for that. And sometimes it's done with that intention. But like I said, you got a pay-per-view, a big pay-per-view, and a wrestler physically gets killed in the ring. They didn't stop the show. Jerry Lawler damn near died at the commentary desk. They didn't stop the show. These are real things that happened, not predetermined things. New Jack cut somebody one time. They damn near bled to death in the ring. They didn't stop the show. Doesn't matter how horrific it is. You don't stop the show. Which I guess is fine if you're WWE and somebody physically gets killed. I guess that's fine if you're WWE and somebody physically has a real life heart attack. I guess that's perfectly fine if you're WWE and you know Sable's coming out with them titties hanging out all over the place at 8:30 at night. I guess it's okay. WWE did it. And then people are going, no, that those segments were widely shit on. 25 years later, I'm sorry, I'm over exaggerating that. 15 or 20 years later, once we got this woke culture, a lot of things we used to think were cool aren't cool anymore. Alf would be banned by now. Mork and Mindy would be on the cutting room floor. And God forbid any of you ever had to grow up with All in the Family or Good Times or the Jeffersons. That was our brand of comedy. But it talked about real social issues in a way and manner that it hit your head. It was done correctly. And I believe those three shows right there kept me from ever being a racist. It also kept me being a realist, that there are people out there like that. And we can laugh about it because that sure as hell ain't going to be me. But those shows wouldn't make it 5 minutes these days. And they had a whole lot to say and everybody listened. MASH should be gone. Cosby's still in syndication and dude drugged people. What are y'all thinking? What are y'all thinking? The other segment of this thing that I wanted to go over with is how many more fucking times are we going to have Isla Dawn and what's her face going against Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair? How many more times are we going to retread that match? While we're sitting here criticizing things that AEW does wrong, let's criticize some shit WWE's been doing wrong, but you don't care. How many more times are we going to have Jey Uso in a main event at a pay-per-view going for a title and lose? Have you guys not even figured out you've been nerfed from day one ever since Roman went on vacation? Oh, we'll throw Jey Uso out there and a Jesus and a Jesus and a Jesus, and that's gotten him over. And a little bit of this. Okay? But he's just there as a placeholder to keep you interested. When are you going to figure that shit out? I'll wait. They slut out half of their females and then stand there with the audacity to tell you, now you shouldn't look. Why? If you're going to put it out there and stick it in front of my face, why shouldn't I look? Why shouldn't I be able to comment on something? Who sets these fucking rules? In all seriousness. But oh, wait a minute. Oh. A scene out of The Godfather is perfectly fine. I'm sorry. I'm thinking this one was closer to. I got to think about this because I do know my gangster movies pretty well too. This is actually closer to Once Upon a Time in America. And if you've never seen that thing, you need to watch the extended version of it, not the 2 hour made for TV part. The original version is 4 hours long, one of the best movies I've ever seen. The scene from Bryan Danielson at the end of that segment is almost verbatim, word for word, line for line, out of Once Upon a Time in America. Seen that movie 100 times. Love it. Got a little bit of violence in it, but it's got a whole lot of historical truth in it too. Still out there, still on television, flying under the radar. I mean, you want to talk about something that disturbed me but is still on television? Goodfellas. Especially the last, 35, 40 minutes of that thing? And it's on regular daytime television. I mean, it's edited to an extent, but you pretty much know there's only so much of it they can edit out for you not to understand the concepts of what is actually going on. There's never been an outcry to pull that movie. In fact, it's still in, I think, the top 25. It always makes the rounds. We don't have a problem with that, and it comes on before 10 o'clock. Even on network television. I've seen it on before 10 o'clock on network. You have to, really, because even if you edit it, it's 3 hours long. And then I says, you know what? I got this group of people that follow me, and I don't know why they follow me because I don't like them. No DQ. That's the ones I'm talking about right there. I go and I pull an article up about theirs, and one of their writers or journalists is just going off and off and off and off. And shout out to 20 viewers. Thank you very much. I don't want you to think I don't see you because I do. But this dude from No DQ is just going on and on and on about how shitty this product is and how MJF shouldn't have went out and all this other crap. I mean, just really just berating the product, not even just the spots that every other infantile egomaniac is mad about right now. I mean, we're just going off and off and off. So I have a thought for you. Stay on your side of the fence, you dumbass. MJF has a movie to shoot. I haven't fully confirmed that yet, but enough people have talked about it, and people that I know to be factually accurate have talked about it enough to know that I think where there's smoke, there's fire. So chances are MJF has a company representing position in something that is not related to AEW but will boost the product. So we had to write him off television. Y'all didn't have a problem with that when they wrote Ricochet off the way they wrote him off. Damn near threw him through real glass on a car. But that was all right because it's all white. I didn't stutter when I said that. I'm just letting it sit there for a minute and marinate. And I'm not even ashamed of it. Then I had to sit there and listen to an irrelevant, not even mid card, talking about uh, who in the back thought this was okay. Disco, everybody in the fucking back thought it was okay. That's why they signed off on it. You Mafia Don wannabe with a penchant for 70s and bell bottom jeans wearing motherfucker. You were zesty then. And you're just as zesty now. The only difference is you get to appeal to a whole bunch of people who never saw how fucking stupid you looked in the ring. When I was growing up, your matches were the fucking bathroom segment. Because we didn't have that much women's wrestling. But boy, when disco came on, it was time to go take a leak. Not lying, don't care how it tastes going down. You were one of the most untalented people ever to perform in a ring. Your opinion should not matter to a gnat's ass. Not even caring about it. My question is this: what exactly happened there that triggered you so badly that you needed a binky in your mama's nipple? What exactly traumatized you? Show me on the doll where the bad pay-per-view hurt you. You can't and you won't. It just, you saw people. This is how this works, by the way. You saw people, the people who normally, one, don't watch the product, two, will occasionally watch a clip, and three, they don't have a job, they don't have a fucking life, so they live on the internet. You watched those people and decided that's what I'm going to hitch my wagon to. You and every one of these other so-called journalists out there, it's exactly what you did. You just let there and sit it marinate, let it sit and marinate for like, a couple hours just to start seeing what the word was going to be. And then you went into full-on super grift mode. You went, oh, they know I'm a professional wrestler, so what I say will matter. You know what, dude? You have so many bad faith takes, used car salesmen don't trust you. And that's a fact. I watch you guys for entertainment, just to see what stupid shit you're going to say next. But I can guarantee you something. If it's about AEW, you're going to lean into that thing. You know why? And you do ask for money, and you do ask for subscriptions, and you do this to pad what little bit of income you couldn't save because you were a fucked up, washed up nothing. You were in there for entertainment value. You were a glorified enhancement talent without half the talent of the enhancement talent. Rocky King could whoop your ass on less ground than it took your mama to have you. Facts. Now, I got to say one thing, though. Bully has not been bully about this whole thing. I don't know if he knows how to react to it or whether he wants to grift it or whether he wants to just step back and remember who the fuck he is. He's a dude who made a living doing shit like this. A majority of his income came from things like this, which is why I can't stand him. He's the griftingest grifter that ever grifted. Because there ain't hardly a fucking thing that ever happened on an AEW programming segment that he has never done or never been a part of doing. But he's going to tell you how it was wrong. He going to make sure you know it was wrong. Yeah, fuck him too. That's liberating, if I could say so myself. So I've had to do a class all day, and I've been listening to these things pop up and so on and so forth, and I'm trying to focus on a class that I need for my license certification. And all I kept saying is, it's just like, okay, we're not getting enough views for this, and we're not getting enough views for that. Amp it up. You guys right now are on boss level grift. All of you. Wrestle-offs. Not really wrestle-offs. Wrestle-offs pretty good. No DQ. Fightful. Bully. Not really bully. Bully's trying to hold back. I know he wants to blow up. God, Disco. And a lot of people I thought had common sense, they don't. You know? They just don't. Let it go. AEW has a television deal. That's not going to change. And trying to talk it out of existence won't make it go out of existence. And lately, you know what? I'm going to be just straight, flat ass honest with you. Hang on one second because my phone blows up every time. Let's see what we got here. Sorry, I don't have a co-host, so I have to handle stuff on my own while I'm live. Regardless, where was I? Yeah, just leave it alone. And I was talking about the Fox deal. I knew where I was headed about it. I just had to think about it and run it back in my head for a minute. If AEW gets a show called Shockwave on Fox, that should tell you everything you need to know about WWE. It's not that they didn't have contract negotiations. Fox didn't want them back. They made a bad faith deal. Fox lost their shirt over it. And now here comes in the background Tony Khan with, hey, I got this show called Shockwave. And it sounds like, because once again, I don't have this confirmed, but where there's smoke, there's fire. The last 2 or 3 things I've seen where I said, no, it's not confirmed. You know, no, that's not a reliable source. There was definitely some smoke there. But you AEW haters got to ask yourself this. Why in the world would Fox spend money on AEW after they wouldn't even talk to WWE if AEW is in the mud and WWE is the supreme tell-all? Oh, they got a $5 billion deal with Netflix. Yeah, they're probably going to be the first show canceled on Netflix. Because they are not going to, they could barely do the numbers on, they couldn't do the numbers on Fox, USA, or Peacock that they professed they were going to do. Why do you think Peacock keeps going up? They're losing money. They're hemorrhaging money. People are not signing up. I have not re-upped my Peacock yet because I have to decide if I want to spend $8 to watch 5 fucking matches over the span of 4 hours. And the matches are only going to be like 20 minutes tops, except the main event. They'll let that one go 35. Which brings me to another point. AEW pay-per-views go long because people spend $50 for them, you stupid, motherless pricks. That's why the pay-per-view is long. When WWE charged 40, 60, and 80 fucking dollars for it, there was a backlash talking about, oh man, they're going way long. But then the people who actually bought the damn thing, the people who put their money down, go, no, no, this is fine. It's totally fine. But the non-watchers, the pocket watchers, the clout chasers, if you will. Back then, we had a little thing with dirt sheets too, where everybody scrambled to be important, and they would try to say the trashiest, craziest shit in the newspaper to sell bylines. That's an old journalist term, by the way. They were selling ad rates and bylines, so they would say the craziest, stupidest shit in the wrestling section of every one of the newspapers to get you to buy another paper. They were part of the ad sales and bylines. So they used to say some crazy shit because they knew nobody was keeping the newspaper longer than a day, so they could say whatever they wanted to. Didn't matter whether it was true or not. So this is nothing that's been invented by you, Glenn. You're not inventing the wheel here, dude. The wheel's been rolling since before you and I were born. Yellow journalism never went away. It's just digitized now. And you're one of the biggest yellow journalists I've ever seen. Google search for yellow journalism just went up. Anyway, and for y'all tuning in, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. I'm just in the middle of a rant that's long overdue, but I let it go and I let it go and I let it go. But it needs to be said. Some of y'all are my regular watchers, and I really appreciate that. One of these days, chat will work, and you guys can chat to me, and I will be more than happy to talk back to you. In fact, I might even chat back with you. I can talk and chew gum at the same time. But like, comment, share if you will. I'd appreciate that because once I'm done with this one right here, I don't think I'll be live again until probably Thursday, Saturday, maybe. Depending on how the water's blowing, depending on how the wind's blowing, the water's flowing. Uh, yeah, I'm not going to interrupt good fishing time, good prime flounder time down in South Carolina to sit here and talk about juvenile shit. When I do it, it'll be a show review. But this is juvenile shit right here. In my honest opinion, the whole argument is juvenile because you're trying to make choices for people who can make their own choices. And that's not cool. See, I even used a little WWE illusion there. That's not cool. And I'm not going to spit apple in your face. But the fact of the matter is, you Karens, and you know who you are going to stand out there and try to ruin somebody else's fun because something you think is fun is threatened. And I know at least two people right now are sitting back on their laurels laughing their ass off. Let me explain something to you. If you want something to die and go away, and I proved this last night again because my kid was trying to goad me, and I just got to the point where I was going, yep, mm-hmm, you're right. And you know what happened? It stopped. I didn't have to get upset. I didn't have to go on social media and tweet about it for 24 hours. I just ignored it. And if you really think that WWE thinks AEW is going away anytime soon, ain't happening. That's why they got to keep the pot stirred. All Out was probably one of the most individual experiences I've had with a wrestling show. Probably in 15, 20 years. See, I got to go back to thinking. I bought my first pay per view in 1998. Or was it 99? It was a WrestleMania. I bought it as a birthday gift for my dad. And some of the shit they did back then, amazing. Did it go long? Yeah. But I paid $75 for the damn thing. Of course it's going to go long. I wanted it to go long. $75 then, probably like 100 and a half now. So if I pay $50 for a pay-per-view, I want at least 8 to 10 matches minimum, and I want those matches going minimum 15, 20 minutes, unless it's just something that doesn't require it. Because I like value for my money. Apparently, some of you guys think plopping your $8 down entitles you to the same thing as plopping my $50 down. Plus the $8 that I'm still thinking I'm not going to give Peacock this month. WWE can suck a dick as far as I'm concerned, because I know they're behind a third, if not half, of this feigned outrage. So as far as their PLEs are going, you can suck a dick. I can catch it on the clips, and I can look up the results just like everybody else who never watches an AEW product, but they look up the results with their favorite dirt sheet and their slant on it, and then they go out and regurgitate it like they got food poisoning and they got to puke it all over the fucking net. I can do that with WWE. I choose not to. I will probably pluck the $8 down, and I will probably begrudgingly sit there for a 2-hour pre-show and a minimum 4-hour show with 5 fucking matches. And a whole lot of Wheatley So Good I Drink It Neatly commercials. If that jingle is not stuck in your head, tell me how you did it. Because that's one of the most horrific moments, is when those Wheatley commercials start coming up. And you're like, oh my God, this is going to be stuck in my head for a week. Again. Because Cody Rhodes spent some of his money on some vodka, so we got to pick that out. But don't let Prince Nana talk about his coffee. Oh my God. For real? For real. That's some discourse I've been seeing lately too. And if you see somebody doing that, you need to slap them in the back of the head and tell them to shut the fuck up. If I got to sit there and listen to 15,000 Wheatley commercials to watch a 5 fucking match boring ass plea so I can comment on it and report on it, Prince Nana can have his fucking coffee all day, every day. 25 viewers are still sticking with me. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I'll probably run an early rant for this month and probably next month, just because it needed to be said. Now that I've gotten all of the strong language out, now I'm gonna break it down in a little bit more of an intellectual term. We have this thing called a Constitution. You may be familiar with it. And we have a whole lot of people that have died for your right to say and do what you want to within bounds. Now, we're not giving you permission to go out and kill people, and don't go running out there and say, Matt said it was okay to do whatever you want to do. No, I didn't. Within reason. Anything that doesn't deprive another person of their life, liberty, and pursuit, not attainment, pursuit of happiness, is out of bounds for me. That's why you don't hear me commenting about things I don't like. Because I know that somebody, not everybody, and I don't expect everybody, somebody's going to take those words to heart. So my opinion of a lot of things I keep to myself. And there's a lot of things in this country that don't sit right with me. But I keep my mouth shut. I'm not particularly worried about getting canceled. I've been canceled 150 fucking times, and I come back 151. That's one of the main reasons I like Paul Heyman. He's been canceled a lot, and he comes back stronger, badder, and harder every single time. I've been canceled 100 times. I come back. I don't care about getting canceled. But I realized about 10 years ago that what I say has consequences. I could talk about my stances on everything. And I could go on my alternate and sit there and talk about my stances on everything. That motherfucker would be monetized in 15 fucking minutes. Because at least half the population agrees with me and they want to hear somebody say it to them. But I choose not to do that because we have this thing called a Constitution. We have this thing called the Declaration of Independence. It says we hold all things to be self-evident. That means you should already know this. And I'm paraphrasing because I don't like the wording, but everybody is entitled. They have a God-given right to life, liberty, that's an important one, and the pursuit of happiness. And then just in case you didn't think we were serious about that, we wrote another document called the Constitution. And just in case you thought we weren't serious enough, we stopped and we wrote a Bill of Rights. That means if I don't like what you're watching and it ain't breaking the law, I need to keep my fucking mouth shut and let you watch it and let you enjoy it and let you live your life. Now, in my four walls, you will not watch it. But if I am in your four walls, I will sit there with my mouth shut and a smile on my face, and I will at least pretend to enjoy it to placate you. Because constitutionally, and honestly, moralistically, and realistically, that's how we ought to have been operating in the first place. I ain't even playing at this point. I'm getting serious here. We're getting surgical. So I really personally do not, never will, haven't, and probably will, and I don't condone somebody thinking their opinion is important enough that I need to follow it. Now, I listen to anything. And if I don't follow it, your opinion is so important that you're going to scream and scream and scream until somebody gives you what you want. You are a douchebag, dickhead, asshole that does not belong in society. You belong on an island with the rest of the dickhead, douchebag, assholes who think that their opinion is more important than what I watch in my own home and how I consume my own information. See, I'm not typing this because if you're going to debate, you're going to come on here and debate me in front of whoever's sitting here watching right now. You're not going to go under my Twitter and do that shit. That being said, WWE is retreading you twice tonight, and hey, the one thing No DQ did say that I think is perfectly fine now, because it's perfectly fine for everybody else for me to talk how I feel. I don't cover a lot of WWE because frankly WWE sucks. WWE is Tonka time. It is toddler video. You had a 3-hour show with 27 minutes of wrestling in it. And that means the other 3 hours and 33 minutes were consumed with talking and commercials. You are not a wrestling program. If you were in court, you would have to stand there with what used to be Kentucky Fried Chicken and admit that at least 60% of your menu is not indeed chicken. Therefore, you cannot call yourself chicken. You should not call yourself wrestling. You are not a wrestling show. You are a show with a couple of wrestling matches in it that 99 times out of 100 are inconsequential to the bigger picture because you don't even follow your own fucking rules. You have a draft in May, and before the end of August, that shit was already screwed up. June, July, August. 3 months. Within 3 months, people were just all over the fucking place again. Your storylines don't match up. They don't hardly ever finish. And I swear to God, this bloodline thing, I just saw somebody talking about, oh, look, we got a teenager that's a four-sport athlete. And I just fell under there like, because you know what? We don't have enough Samoans and Tongans on television as it is. And sure enough, that thing's gotten the most likes all day. And it wasn't for my sarcasm. It was because a whole lot of people agree that we don't have enough Samoans and Tongans on television. Are you a Drew McIntyre fan? Good. All he's going to be doing is fucking with CM Punk for the rest of his actual career, or until people get tired of looking at that stupid ass feud over a stupid ass bracelet. You like Charlotte Flair? They might find room for Charlotte Flair. Because I think even Charlotte Flair is immune to the Samoans and Tongans. You like Bianca Belair? Good. She's going to be a tag team champion for fucking ever. Because we got Nia Jax over there, fucking Samoan, which I don't have a problem with that. But I'm saying we got Nia Jax over there. She going to hold that title until they get damn good and tired to take it off of her. And right now, Miss Days of Our Lives, Liv Morgan over here, she's going to hold that title till at least probably Royal Rumble or beyond. Because now people are saying, no, we shouldn't even put the title on Rhea then because it's not going to really make a whole lot of sense. No, they just haven't found a Samoan or a Tongan to take it yet. I'm being dead serious with you right now. They will run this bloodline angle to appeal to 1.5 million people, and they have forgotten about. And here's a number you can Google me on it. You can fact check me. You can do whatever you want to do. Google is right over there. It's www.google.com. Google Raw ratings during the Wrestling Wars. When it was a talent versus talent business. When then WWF, before we got the F out, their talent went head to head with the storylines and talent from WCW. Between the two of them, they had 20 million regular viewers. So don't come up to me with WWE and that 2.2 million thing talking about, oh, this is the greatest era ever. No, it fucking isn't. No, it fucking never was. No, it fucking never will be again. Vince McMahon got tired of having to rebrand and reinvent his storylines. PG was safe. And guess what? It's still safe. You just got to figure out how to turn those 2 million into the same profit you were getting from them 10 million, which really wasn't much. WWE was not a very profitable company. And Vince McMahon was serious. They were only weeks away from having to shut the doors. When Eric Bischoff, another famous grifter out here, made the mistake of talking about the Cactus Jack match, there was an immediate shift that night. This is not revisionist history. There was a 1.2 million immediate shift when he said, Raw's pre-taped. Cactus Jack's going to win their world title. Fact check me. Please. Fact check me. Or you can believe that bullshit Dwayne put together on a YouTube quality video. That's right, I said it. Dwayne, YouTube quality video. You want to know what finish the story really was? Starrcade 86 and 87. Fact check me. They were even dumb enough to show it right after WrestleMania. Like WrestleMania goes off the air, Cody Rhodes. Or no, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. They were stupid enough to air that like literally right after WrestleMania. And everybody claims they watched it. The entire Cody Rhodes story was based off of that same feud. It worked then, it worked now. And plus, Cody Rhodes is his father. Dusty Rhodes always looked better chasing the title than he did winning it, with the exception of the World TV title. And I still believe to this day he booked himself Verne Gagne style. If you don't know what that is, that's AWA. Verne Gagne owned AWA. Hulk Hogan, Razor Ramon, 90% of the Attitude Era. He owned those people, but he booked himself as world champion because he could trust himself. Dusty Rhodes booked himself as the world TV champion because he could trust himself with that title. Occasionally, he'd let Tully Blanchard hang on to it for a couple of months. But with the exception of that title right there, Dusty Rhodes was popular as hell going after a world title. The minute he get it, cool off. Literally, nobody understood it. It was one of those anomalies that happen in professional wrestling. Some people are just better chasing than they are winning. And for those of y'all who can't put your finger on the problem with Cody Rhodes' title run right now, is because he's a hell of a lot more popular chasing it than he is winning it. Those are facts whether you like it or don't like it. It hasn't moved the needle. SmackDown's losing viewers. It hasn't moved the needle. Roman Reigns at least moved the needle by a couple of 100,000 a week. And he shows on viewership when he shows up. Now, is WWE viewership anywhere near where it was during the Attitude Era? No. They were competing with Monday Night Football, which strangely tonight is Monday Night Football. They were competing viewership with Monday Night Football. And a couple of times they fucking won. That leads me into the attendance bullshit, baseless arguments you're making. Clash at the Castle, for instance. Verified, bona fide, you can look it up. You don't even have to think about it twice. Clash at the Castle, the previous year, sat 66,000 people. This past Clash at the Castle, where Drew talked y'all into the building to fuck you over, what was it, 11,000, something like that, 13,000? Why are we not running around screaming WWE's in the mud? How did it become the highest grossing at that particular point for its gate? You know, I was dealing with somebody the other day who didn't actually know how much WWE was charging for nosebleed seats. A family of four sat there and watched Drew lose, and they spent a minimum. If they sat in the fucking rafters, they spent $1,200 to watch their countrymen lose. Now, some of y'all know how to balance a checkbook. Some of y'all know how to look at a bank statement and realize when something doesn't add up. I have a question for you. If you were trying to set up a promotion, would you want to follow WWE anywhere they went? If you said yes, you're an idiot. WWE dries up all the money in the town that they get to. And that money stays dried up. Because it's so intense, it's so deep, and it's so pocket cutting. They're doing less, charging more, and trying to dry it up for the other industries. Oh, but Matthew, did you not see that NXT thing? Oh, people, did you not see them come right in there behind it the next day with Monday Night Raw? Same building, same place. That was probably a package ticket. I'm super surprised I didn't hear anybody talking about NXT pay-per-view or PLE numbers. Talking about, oh, look, NXT did this. AEW's in the mud. They in the mud. They ain't sell but 9,000 tickets. They in the mud. NXT's pay-per-view. He had 17,000. Da, 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 da. Yeah, they all bought a ticket to see Raw, and NXT was just a throw in. And by the way, those tickets were going for $200 to $400 a piece, too. So you know what? AEW can't come in there and work that town. They can't beat them in the ring. So they're trying to dry up all the property so they can't work. That's a fact. I welcome anybody to argue with me on that. Anybody. But getting back to the WWE retreads for this week, we got my prediction on the tag team match is Bianca Belair, and one of two things is going to happen in this tag team match. And apparently Isla Dawn and the other chick are pretty good at working this angle with them. Here's what's eventually going to happen. They're either going to lose and split up, or they're going to win and we're going to run this again in another town until. So you're getting retreads tonight. As far as who I think's going to win the IC thing, or at least the IC four-way, it's going to be Jey Uso again. And then WWE is going to get y'all all set up for a big pay-per-view. They're going to sell an ass load of merch for Jey Uso, and he's going to fucking lose again. Because they have no intentions of putting a singles belt on Jey Uso. I don't know how many times they got to kick you in the nuts before you figure that out. I really don't. I don't know how many times they're going to have to kick you in the nuts before you figure out Jey Uso is not going to be a singles champion. I don't know how many times they got to kick you in the nuts before you realize that Dragunov's going to be mid-card. I don't know how many times they got to kick you in the nuts before you figure out Melo's going to be mid-card. And before you say, oh, you're full of shit, you don't know what you're talking about. They're bringing in new Bloodline members right fucking now. And you still don't have Hikulea here, Tola Tonga. Do you think that they're going to spend that much money on another Samoan or another Tongan and your boy Melo's going to get some spotlight? What fucking Cabbage Patch were you born in? While we're being honest about things, and this is why I don't cover much WWE unless it's a pay-per-view, and even then from now on it's going to have to be something that had actually a match that I could talk about. That's not a retread. That's not a used tire coming out of Stamford. They're not going to have a match like that. Not in the foreseeable future. And does anybody think I'm going to pay, because I'm not a big Netflix fan. Now, my wife is, she likes it. But does anybody honestly think if I were a single man that I could justify spending $17 to $20 on a channel that I have gone my entirety of without watching one single time and not giving a shit? Just because WWE moved over there? $7 is too much for what we're getting on Peacock. I can't imagine you guys dropping $20 for 5 matches. Oh, you don't understand, it's cinema. That shit ain't cinema. That shit is late night television. And that's all it's ever going to be. Because you don't demand more. Oh, y'all get mad if your favorite don't win one week, but it's over with. Next week, you're good. WWE is about to blow up the place with at least 3 or 4 more Samoans. Oh, yeah, that's not going to affect insert whoever the hell you think you want to win some matches. And I'm going to Tiffany Stratton. I'm going to, oh, good Lord, who's some of the people out there? Lyra Valkyria. I thought for sure they were pointing that title at Lyra Valkyria, and now I'm 100% sure they're not. I'm 100% sure she's Becky's hand-picked stooge. She's not Samoan. She's not Tongan. She's not 50 Chop Gunther. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I miscategorized him. 50 chops and 100 fucking power bombs, Gunther. Oh, if WWE does that, oh, he's our world champion. If AEW does that, all they do is that chop and flippy shit. No, all you do is read shit and you keep it stuck in your brain and you look like an idiot. Here's what's going to happen with WWE tonight. You're going to get the same shit. We're going to get that same Wyatt fucking shit at the end of the match, at the end of the day. And you guys are going to mark out and you're going to go buy more Wyatt shit. Meanwhile, actually, Bray Wyatt is doing monkey flips in his grave right now. Because this is not what he started. That's the thing that kills me. He was never even about the money, he was about the creative part of it. But if the Wyatt Six take a leak in a 5-star hotel, there's a fucking t-shirt for it. And there's somebody out there buying the fucking t-shirt. I don't care what that does for your fragile psyche. You need to hear this. I don't care what you do with it, but you need to be able to say, you can't say no one ever told you, because I'm telling you. You're stooges, and WWE's the Pied Piper, and they're just sitting there just collecting money. 11,700. I'm sorry, it could be 13,000. I might have my arenas goofed up here now. Is the highest grossing event of a 69,000, a 73,000, a 93,000 sellout. Yeah, WWE used to sell out things like that. 95,000, 86,000, 55,000, 73,000, 75,000 stadium shows. And you're trying to convince me that WWE is not grifting your ass, and an 11 to 13,000 seat show had the highest gate and revenue, over 75,000. I'm not even going to the bigger ones that are disputable. I don't really care about it. I don't care what they held. It was a big deal then. It doesn't matter now because I ain't spending any of that money and none of those people are giving me money. But I'm just trying to get your head screwed on straight here. You mean to tell me that a 13 to 14,000, hell, a 17,000 seat arena show outsold 75,000, 55,000? What is it going to take for you to get rid of this Stockholm syndrome? Oh, WWE's very, very good. AEW's very, very bad. Yeah, WWE did that, but we didn't condone it then. Bullshit. We don't condone it now. That I believe. Because AEW might fuck up and make $1, and we just can't have that. AEW might fuck up and create a new fan like they did that night. We just can't have that. And you know who can't have it and needs you not to have it? Creative. Because the longer you don't get it is the longer creative can sit back, drink really expensive liquor, smoke very expensive cigars, and give you the 19th version of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus these two curtain jerkers. And actually try to make you feel like it means something. They would actually have to do something besides give you this retread of Jay's going to win. Then we're going to get to the pay-per-view, and Braun Breaker's just going to fuck him all up. But they're going to get you hyped, man, because, yo, Oos, I won the match, Oos, and I'm going to pay-per-view. I'm sorry, we don't say pay-per-views, Oos. We say PLEs, Oos. And I'm going to this PLE, Oos, with my fucked up glasses on, Oos. And I'm going to get to this ring, Oos. And I'm going to wave my hands, Oos. And I'm going to lose. No, that ain't what he says. And y'all stupid motherfuckers buy the t-shirt. But you're going to tell me, oh, that bag over the head, that was just over the top. Well, where's your money at? I don't know. I bought a fucking Jey Uso shirt. Leave me alone. That's exactly where we're going with this, and your tribalism is going to screw you up. I tried to be tribal one time. Found out that I had a whole bunch of bobblehead idiots around me that thought, said, and acted like I wanted them to do. Makes for a really good comfort zone, really bad for development. That's why when I started off the first stream before it was summarily shut down, and I have no earthly idea why, I started off the first stream by saying, I haven't been watching AEW that long. I came in maybe a month before Double or Nothing when I started watching this podcast or the show here on Twitter, and they got me to thinking. They said some shit I did not like. And I mean, they said some shit that really pissed me off. I started watching them right before WrestleMania 40, to be exact. I can tell you when. It was like 2 weeks before WrestleMania 40. I watched the first show, and they were like, yeah, these WWE drones are this, and this is bullshit, and this is why it's bullshit, and this, and you watch this, and you watch that, and this is what's going to happen. I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots. But went in there and watched WrestleMania, and sure enough, just about everything they said was going to happen happened. Then I had to pay attention to what they were saying. But I saw the WrestleMania match and I was holding out hope that the Cody Rhodes match was going to be the needle mover. Because for me, it was actually an emotional moment. I will never shit on that match. You will never catch me shitting on the main event of WrestleMania 40 because it tied everything that I have been watching for the last 30 years into a nice little bow. And they didn't have to do that. So I go back to the show. I'm like, man, this was a great WrestleMania. And they trashed it again. The problem is they didn't trash it. They pointed out facts. And that's all I'm doing at this point. Because if I can get another conversion, I don't want you to stop watching WWE. WWE does entertaining things for me. There is an entertainment factor in WWE for me. The reason I don't cover it is because I don't want to fall into, I'm just going to shit all over the show. Because it's real easy to do. Like I'm saying, tonight we get the 146 millionth interpretation of the same match that we've been watching since before WrestleMania. Tonight, we're going to get a rehash of the same storyline that we've gotten ever since Roman Reigns left after WrestleMania. Jey Uso, meteoric rise, gets to the top, gets to the match, gets his ass kicked, gets sent home. But they sold a lot of t-shirts. He didn't win shit, but they sold a lot of t-shirts. And let me tell you something else about you basement dwelling sons of bitches. The ones that just keep sitting there over and over again. The idiot that started a petition on change.org to have AEW programming removed by the federal fucking government for disturbing images of violence. Then I show him, like, you remember Big Boss Man got, huh? Oh, that was a universally shit on thing. Okay, well, they set this coffin on fire with somebody. Oh, he wasn't really in it and blah, blah, blah. So how in the hell could you suspend reality to look at an identical scenario of graphic violence? Hey, you want to know what else they did? They threw a dude in the ground and covered him up with about 1.5 tons of dirt. Oh, no, that ain't what really happened. He was in this safety cap. Okay. So you can fucking suspend reality for that, and you can wrap your fucking idiotic minds around that. What's your problem? What is your absolute problem? And I'm pretty close to saying, screw you, drones, for making me sound as loud and boisterous as that idiot JD from New York. And he is a fucking idiot. I never said that. Yeah, you did, and I got the short for you, dumbass. What has, what is it going to take to get you fed walkers off the fence? Is it going to be when they cornhole Drew and when Drew and Punk aren't drawing good enough, so their stuff gets thrown behind the bloodline? Is it going to be when Tiffany Stratton doesn't cash in her briefcase because her shit's behind the bloodline? Is it going to be when Becky Lynch does not come back to Royal Rumble because she's fucking done with the business? What illusion is it going to take for you to open your eyes, look behind the curtain, look at the old man waving at you going, pay no attention to the guy behind the curtain? Some of y'all never seen The Wizard of Oz and it shows. What is it going to take for your Wizard of Oz moment when you're looking at the booth and you see this goofy ass looking guy pushing buttons and pulling stuff? If you haven't seen it, watch it. Because that's where you're at right now. WWE drones are at the end of the yellow brick road. They have seen the booth. They have seen the corny dude. They have seen the corny dude sitting there yelling into the megaphone, pay no attention to the guy behind the curtain. I am the great Wizard of Oz. When are you going to have this come to Jesus moment? Because right now, you guys are the most socially unattractive people I have ever seen. I wouldn't even want to sit down and cook a burger with you. And that's unusual for me because I like feeding people. I'm a professional fat boy. I know how to eat. What's it going to take? When is it going to be your moment? I didn't tell the rest of the story, but when they called the match results for the next 2 or 3 pay-per-views, I was just like, I need to look at this again. And sure enough, it popped out. Then when they said, if you've never watched AEW, that was me. Watch a couple of shows and give us some honest feedback. So I started watching. I'm like, it's not bad. Some of it's kind of dorky. Some of it's kind of goofy. But then again, some of WWE is dorky. Some of WWE is kind of goofy. There are people right now that still believe Bray Wyatt was a gimmick and a fucking cartoon. That's right. I know that's going to come as a shock to your fragile little psyche, but there are plenty of people out there that do not understand my obsession with Bray Wyatt and why I enjoyed watching his promos, why I enjoyed watching him work. And there are way more people out there with that mindset than there are people like me and you with our mindset. They're not on Twitter every day going, man, that Bray Wyatt thing is some really fucked up shit. We should start a petition to get him off of television because that blood angle at the end of the blah, 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 blah. You know, you don't have that sort of thing going on with it. Because for some unexplainable reason, you can distinguish fact from fiction there. For some unexplainable reason, you don't have a problem with Alexa Bliss coming up out there, dude catching on fire, spitting blood, and all this other goddamn shit. That was cinema. And that was recent. It's about to get quiet as a church in here. Because I want you to think about that. That, to some people, was a disturbing scene. To me, I thought it was a rock solid end to a really nice looking feud in which Randy Orton happened to have burned some shit down, and we didn't have a problem with that. Nobody was screaming arson for that. Nobody was screaming anything for that. That was cinema. You don't understand. That's cinema. It's a Randy Orton. And him and the Bray Wyatt, they is having a discussion and they is disagreeing about stuff. And so Randy Orton had to get his attention, so he burned some shit down. That's cinema. Don't you get it? That's bullshit. You don't know why it's bullshit? Because it's unbelievable bullshit. Hangman Adam Page actually burns a house down with somebody he's got 2.5, 3 fucking years of history with. It was very well staged. Oh, this is arson. AEW has gone off the deep end. But Randy Orton is cinema. He's cinema. Hang on a minute. Granny, I'm almost ready for dinner. That's what y'all sound like, dude. If it was cinema then, it's cinema now. If it was cinema then, it's cinema now. You just don't like the cinema. Couple of housekeeping tips tonight because I'm about to wind this up because for some unexplainable reason I'm going to find myself watching Raw and watching this fucking dumpster fire of a retread, burning old tires in a fucking dumpster. I got to think that I was starting with it earlier and then something else got me off on a rant. And I apologize. I'm trying not to be on a rant. But at the same time, there's a lot on my mind that needs to be said. I do believe that Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are going to retain. I do believe Jey Uso is going to win the 4-way because I don't see storyline potential for Ilya Dragunov because you got to assume that the same 600,000 or most months, weeks, 300,000 that watch NXT will also watch Raw. So you have to assume that people are going to believe that storyline is continuing over from a developmental brand into mainstream. You have to believe that enough people were watching back then. So it's my belief that Jey Uso is going to go over. Then he's going to get to the next plea. I think is it Bad Blood or there's something coming this month before the October Bad Blood. To me, it's so inconsequential I don't even keep up with it anymore. But at some point in time, Jey Uso is going to have to go fight Braun Breaker. And I just want you to know that all the shirts you're going to buy and all the yeet glasses and all the foam, we the ones that you buy are not going to put that Intercontinental title around the waist of Jey Uso. It's not going to happen. WWE has consistently nerfed its entire fan base with Jey Uso for so many months right now that if they pulled the trigger and put a singles title on Jey Uso like this with Roman Reigns actually in the picture, I would come on stream and say, I am an idiot. I am a dumbass. I didn't see it coming. You have my word that the minute they put a singles title, the minute they put the Intercontinental title on him over Braun Breaker, I will be live even if it's early in the match. Even if it's early in the show or late in the show, I will come on here live and say I am the dumbest fool to ever walk the streets of the earth. I missed this thing coming. That stream is not going to happen. But you have my word on it. Right here. My word is my bond. That's how confident I am that this is not going to happen. Ilya Dragunov, he is not the draw that you think he is. Just because you happen to be a fan of his does not mean he's a draw. The only draw they've got in that entire sequence right now is Jey Uso. Sorry about you Ilyanov fans. He don't do it for me. Braun Strowman is just filler. That's all Braun Strowman is. He's filler in this match. He's the The obligatory big guy that you have in every fatal four-way that everybody's got to work together to get rid of before they go fight with each other. That's his role in this match. He ain't going to win. Because if he did actually win, Braun Breaker beating him would be so unfucking believable. Nah, the WWE drones would probably go for it. They'd probably go for it. Even if they watched Braun Strowman just like destroy shit for years, that they would believe this guy who barely comes up to his chest gonna whoop his ass. They believed it with Rey Mysterio, so who the hell knows? But he's still filler. To me, he's filler. I'm gonna let that sit there for a minute. That leaves the only person that leaves is Jey Uso. So when he wins that fatal four-way and when he gets his ass kicked by Braun Breaker, you, the fan, have been nerfed yet again. And here's the deal. Roman Reigns takes a break. They'll probably run Jey Uso through for a world title shot with Gunther for too long. You're going to get nerfed again. And again. And again. Because Jey Uso is the Samoan Ron Simmons. Not Ron Simmons, Ron Killings. Yeah, R-Truth, y'all know. Jey Uso is the Samoan R-Truth. They parade him out in front of you because he's safe, he's funny, and that's it. He ain't winning shit. And in fact, when R-Truth and The Miz actually won that title, I called it a loyalty run, and that's exactly what it was. They didn't have it long. That was just a loyalty run. And don't worry, R-Truth, you can't block me twice. You can only block me once. Butthurt, damn bastard. You're supposed to have thicker skin than that when you're raised in the streets, Ron. Just a thought. I have thicker skin than that. Grow up. Get over yourself. That's basically going to be your WWE lineup tonight. Oh, yeah, we got the Wyatt Six going against whatever the fuck Chad Gable's putting together again with the same crew of people that ruined Bloodsport. Y'all don't know nothing about that, but yeah, the Creed brothers went down there and just totally decimated them and whatever her name is, the one that's in the faction with the three girls in the faction that are weird. Anyway, they went down there and just absolutely wrecked Bloodsport. Came back. They wrecked it live on Sunday. Maybe it was Saturday. Bloodsport. I'm trying to remember. No, it was Saturday. They wrecked it on Saturday. Came in on Monday and proceeded to lose to jobbers all the way across the freaking world. Destroyed Bloodsport. Hey, yo, GCW, you need to consider that when you're giving Zilla Fatu some ideas on where he wants to go. Just remember who bent you over the table and fucked you and ragdolled you. Just remember that. So, yeah, Wyatt Six are going to win that match. I don't see why they wouldn't win that match. Everybody, they got merchandise they got to sell. And I think the more the Wyatt Six win, the more merchandise they sell. I think that's how it works in WWE. Or maybe it's the more merchandise they sell, the more they win. I don't know. It's different for each athlete. So the Wyatt Six are going to beat the living shit out of them. They are not going to beat the Wyatt Six. That's not going to happen. Not now, not ever. Oh, it might happen as a fluke or something like that. This is never going to be pay-per-view worthy, PLE worthy. This is not even pay-per-view worthy for a GCW show. And I'm not shitting on GCW. They put some stinkers out there before. But this is not even worthy of one of those shows. So the Wyatt Six is going to beat the living shit out of them. Hey, we got 29 viewers. Thank you very much. I do love my viewers. Like, subscribe. I'm not even asking for contributions. I got enough advertisement. I don't need to do that. So if you like and subscribe, that's really all I ever ask for. If you share, that's even more beautiful. Thank you very much. I would appreciate it. And for those of y'all who have stuck with me through this whole rant, y'all are real people. And you really wanted to hear something. That much I do appreciate. I am going to go have some dinner now, and I am going to consume WWE Monday Night Raw, the season opener. I have not missed a Raw since day one. I'm going to repeat that again for the people in the back. I have not missed a Raw since day one. And I'm not going to let tribalism make me miss one either. I think my dad would be pissed off at me about that. I should be able to think for myself. That was me and my dad's time. We sit there, eat popcorn, drink sodas, do stuff, enjoy, we'd enjoy the shows. That was his time. So I'm going to enjoy Raw because that's what me and my dad would have done. And you know what? I'm going to be right back for SmackDown, and that I don't know what y'all going to do with that. One more thing, and then I'm getting out of here. I don't know why WWE is going forward with a cage match after it just set up. By the way, a lot of this stuff does come from WWE down to its dirt sheets. There are certain dirt sheets that are not necessarily on the payroll, but they're on the inside looking out. And if they want to stay on the inside looking out, they repeat what WWE tells them to repeat. That's how I know when something's fact. Because if it gets confirmed by a bona fide, certified WWE basement dwelling stan that I know gets cheese from Triple H, if they have a comment about it and it leans in the direction I'm thinking, that's how I know it's a fact. Because Triple H says it's okay for you to be critical of this. Aaron, I want somebody on replay to just say, hey, Aaron, did you hear what he said about you? Let me repeat that again. Aaron, calling you out by name because I ain't scared of you. You look like a little fucking dork anyway. I'm not worried about you. I'm not worried about your 50,000 or what the fuck ever. You tell me you've been doing something since 1998 and I've been doing this since fucking April. Let that sink in. That's why I'm not really that concerned with what you got to say, because obviously, if you've been saying it since 1998 and you still ain't got a following, except for the neckbeards that just absolutely got to hear, oh, AEW is very bad. They're very, very bad. They shouldn't be on television. That is your following. That is your complete following. And I don't give a damn how that tastes going down. But anyway, I'm going to be consuming Raw tonight. And I will also be consuming the Covalent TV immediately following Raw. I am not ashamed to give them a good plug because those are the ones that opened my eyes. Those are the ones that got me wanting to do this in the first place. I wasn't even thinking about this, and everybody I've ever hung out with, everybody I've ever dated, everybody I've ever been married to, which is two, I'm on my third, they've all said, you've got a voice for entertainment. You ought to do it. You've got a mind for entertainment. You ought to do it. You've got a mind for teaching. You ought to do it. But they're the ones that got me out of my shell enough to do it. So, tonight, immediately following Raw, be on the lookout for the Covalent TV. That's, you know what, if I can figure out how to put it in there. You can see that in the chat. Follow them. I went ahead and put that out there. See, I can chat. What's wrong with y'all? I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. In all reality, give them a follow after Monday Night Raw, and you're going to see what built me. They're not wrong, whether you like them or don't like them. They're not wrong. And neither am I. And as we close out this show here, I've got 29 viewers, had 30 there at one time. Wow, this is like a really big deal. I appreciate this. I may have to stream at this time rate pretty much going forward because, hey, I'm getting some people. I love it. I want you guys to enjoy Raw. I want you to. I want you to flip your television on. I want you to forget everything I ever said because it's going to fuck your entire head up. And I want you to enjoy Raw. Or listen to what I said. Pay attention to it coming together. And I'm not trying to make you not like a show. I'm trying to make you understand why those of us who do like what we like, why we like it. The violence angles were there. I've seen a dude suffocated with his bag. Happens in 75% of Italian and gangster movies. Somebody's going to get suffocated with a bag. I've seen it 1,000 times. It didn't move me that much emotionally. What it did move me towards was the storyline. I've seen worse fights than Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page outside of a bar at 3 o'clock in the morning because I was breaking them up. I've seen some nasty, disgusting shit happen in a fight. That doesn't even come close. The needle. I'm even calling the needle. Because I've seen that shit too. I've seen this stuff in real life. So no, emotionally I was not charged. It did move the storyline. So, with that said, I want every single person who watches Raw tonight to enjoy it, but I want you to think just one time. This is the opening show tonight. They're going to throw every curtain trick at you they can because I can guarantee you they have not booked. We're getting at least 2 retreads right now from the used tire store up in Stamford, Connecticut right now, today. That's happening real time, today. But I don't want you to not enjoy the show. And in fact, if you want to forget everything I said as soon as you click this stream off, be my guest. But you can never say you weren't informed. And if you paid attention to the information, you wouldn't have walked into what you walked into Saturday night. The information was there. You chose to ignore it at your own peril. Once again, the information is there for tonight. You can choose to ignore it or you can choose to listen to it. And I'm not saying don't enjoy Raw. I'm going to enjoy some of the segments of it. Some of them I'm not. Because Raw doesn't book the 53-year-old white men exclusively. They book the things that appeal to the LGBTQIA, and I can't ever remember it. It changes all the time. They book to that group as well. They book some stuff to women. They book stuff to some shy, insecure men. They book some stuff to some shy, insecure women. They book some stuff to some bad bitches. And they book some stuff to some Billy Badasses that are legit Billy Badasses. They don't just book to a 53-year-old white man. Guess what? AEW doesn't either. I hope you have a good evening. Enjoy Monday Night Raw. And good night, America, wherever you are. This has been the Sicko Show on Graps TV, and I'm your host, the Matty Man. Y'all take care, and I'll see you next time. I'll give you some announcement when I'm gonna go live. Take care.